Hey, this is Mike Diercksen from Proactive, and you're listening to the Building Byte podcast. Tune in as we spotlight our guests, Josh Rogove, President and Principal, and Trevor Casey, New Business Development Leader at Consolidated Risk Solutions. Our episode today is focused on maximizing your insurance risk management programs. For more information on this episode and others, please check out the Building Byte at www.buildwithproactive.com.
Welcome to the Building Byte podcast, a podcast for construction contractors, owners, and insurance professionals where you'll hear from the experts about key topics that'll help you be successful. I'm Chris Epps, a Vice President with Proactive, and I'm joined here with my co-host Mike Diercksen, our Manager of Marketing and Business Development. Our guests today are experts in the commercial wrap-up insurance space and fellow podcasters, Josh Rogove, President, and Trevor Casey, New Business Development Leader at Consolidated Risk Solutions. Josh, how are you this afternoon?
Doing well, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Excited to have you guys on. Trevor, how about yourself?
I'm great, Chris. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Hey, Mike, I know you're always ready to go.
Always ready. Ready for some fellow podcasters here, too. This could be great.
That's it. They make it easy on us.
The crossover.
That's right.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the show today. Before we jump into our main topic, we always like to start giving our listeners some insights into your specific career paths and kind of how you got to where you are today with Consolidated Risk. Josh, maybe you could lead us off there, give us a little background.
Yeah, thanks. So as mentioned, name is Josh Rogove, President of CRIS Solutions. Have been in the insurance business since 2001. Started my career working at AIG, where I was a professional associate there. I went through 1 year of a training program, which was great. Really wish a lot more companies had programs like that today. I think a lot of the carriers are doing it, but came out of college with no insurance experience, and they took me from that to, I feel like I thought I knew more than I actually did know, but it seasoned me enough to kind of sit in an underwriter's seat. I was fortunate enough then to also be placed in the construction group of AIG Risk Management Group, the old Division 82. Shout out to those that remember that. And we were focused on large construction risks, premium size $750,000 was our minimum premium, and also wrote wrap-ups. So I was there through 2008. Right around the time when things at AIG unfortunately changed, when we kind of lost the us being the Yankees mentality and the gorilla in the room. But so 2008 had an opportunity to join CR Solutions, who I actually work with quite a bit at AIG. So it was great to kind of be a consumer somewhat. I always was able to refer brokers that didn't really understand wrap-ups, needed the education, all the services we provide today to those brokers and to those potential sponsors, get them ready for a wrap up. And for me at AIG as an underwriter, it allowed me to underwrite these risks quicker. And then also I knew there were no issues on the administration. So 2008 had a great opportunity to join CR Solutions and have been there ever since. And it's just been a great ride. The company's been around since 2002. So we've really cut our teeth on doing things before technology evolved, and then really now today, as the evolution of technology continues, building out a proprietary software and really being knowledgeable of our space, and then being able to build something surgically for what our industry needs.
Fantastic. And Trevor, how about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So I started a little bit different. I was on the life insurance side doing the financial advisor thing. We're selling stocks, bonds, life insurance, all of that right out of college. Really started enjoying that game, and then COVID started, and everybody decided we're going to panic pull all of our money, and it just created a lot of stress for myself. And I realized, the financial side of it is fun, but the insurance is more nitty gritty. There's more statistics and data. And the thing, I just found a lot more joy in the insurance side. So I decided, let's take a little bit of a different approach of this and slide into the P&C space and do something that I like in construction and widening my array of insurance knowledge. And started in 2020, right as COVID started really ramping up at CRIS Solutions as an account associate, just doing day-to-day wrap-up administration management, and quickly found that I did have a knack for insurance and understanding some of the nitty-gritty stuff, as well as building the relationships with our clients. And that allowed me to move kind of out of the administration side of things and more into a business development, sales, marketing side. And it's allowed for Josh and I to do a lot of education and podcasts and sales, and actually FaceTime with people, talking about the problem, finding the solution. And I'm not fighting with people about, you lost $5,000 of my money, and like, not my problem. In reality, it really was not my problem because I don't run the stock market. But the stress level just comes down, and it's just so much more enjoyable being on this side of the thing. So I've been in insurance for about 7 years, ticking into my 8th year now. So definitely not as long as Josh. I'm not as old. Just kidding.
Oh, please. I was
But
going to compliment
yeah,
what an asset you've been through. Can you come to me like that?
I'm just kidding. And working with Josh has really allowed me to take a step up in my career and really climb the ladder a little bit quicker and learn so much. So I've been very thankful to CRS for that. So quick little overview of my background.
Good recovery, Trevor. Good recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to dig at him sometimes.
Of course, right? And look, you're talking about the health and life, and I'm like, I'm remember back to my old days of that. Like, there's the donut. I remember the donut. I don't know why. It was like you pay to a certain point. That's the graphic put up. Anyway, much happier on this side of the business as well. So, guys, diving right in, we're excited to have you on here. Our main topic today is maximizing your insurance risk management programs. So, Josh, kicking it off with you, Chris and I on the podcast, we hear a lot about these mega projects that keep coming to the market, bigger and bigger projects within the industry, yet there remains a labor shortage. How do you think that that's affecting RAP policies? Is that on the radar? Is it really hurting that, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's impacting RAP policies and insurance programs overall. I mean, a wrap-up is just one approach to kind of manage risk. There's labor shortages in different markets. Subcontractors are also moving geographies as well. So a wrap-up, I guess let's start with just ensuring that you have proper risk transfer. So really, I think any higher party owner or general contractor just wants to make sure, if they're going to rely on traditional insurance, that they have proper indemnification in place to make sure that anyone that's doing work for them, they're going to have proper coverage. So it's important to review your contracts and then actually have a practice or program in place to actually ensure that risk transfer is in place. And then another option is, based on the scope or size of the project, is considering doing a wrap-up. You could start with doing like a general liability only wrap-up, which then gets rid of a lot of the current concerns for third-party bodily injury and property damage surrounding the project for the owner, general contractor, and all subcontractors. And then you could also do a full wrap-up where you would also include the workers' compensation.
Yeah, and obviously something our listeners, going to want to make sure they kind of are on top of and have buttoned up when they're bidding work and taking work. And you guys, Josh, have a proprietary software. Maybe Trevor, maybe you could elaborate on this. You guys have a proprietary software that sort of helps with that process and managing that process. Can you walk us through CR Certify and kind of what that covers, how it works?
Yeah, I'll let Trevor answer. Trevor, I just want to jump in real quick on it. I think kind of how I started, how we kind of built our software based on pushing paper around before technology was in place. And what we say today is a lot of our development has been done for the non-paying customer, the subcontractor. So Trevor's going to can talk through his talking points on this topic, but you'll see a lot of what we've done is just really ease of the enrollment process is very simple for the subcontractor. If there's any deficiencies with any type of their insurance, it's clearly identifying what the issue is, not creating a needle in a haystack. So, and then also really helping them find the solution, not just you have an issue here, this is not in compliance. It's you have an issue here, this is an issue to your balance sheet potentially, and this is a path to a resolution. I'm not sure if it's a financial decision why you're not, resolving it, or is it did you not? Was it ignorance? Did you not know that you had this deficiency? Sorry, Trevor.
No, it's perfectly fine. And yes, so Chris, our CR Certify is our proprietary software. That is our insurance tracking side of our software. We also have the Insight part, which actually tracks the wrap-up solutions, whether it's a general liability or a byline workers' comp only. But speaking just on the Certify product, it is a tracking software. So one of the things we know is most contractors in construction, they are good at construction. They're not good at insurance. And so that creates a lot of stress for them, and it can create problems on the job site, right? So one of the things for a lot of these programs is, you need to provide a certificate of insurance. It's written in the contract, and that's a lot of paper, as Josh said. So we created this software that actually tracks via a hierarchy. So you'll have your general contractor or owner and every sub-tier contractor under there in the hierarchy of where they live. And that's going to hold their certificate of insurance and all of the project specifics that are going to be required for their offsite. Also going to have their endorsements, and it's going to store all of that data. So, as we know, completed operations like New York can go 7-10 years. What if a claim arises in 5 years and we don't have policy information or certificates? Like, well, what are we going to do? So our database stores all that. It houses it forever, tracks the certificate. As we all know, certificates of insurance are kind of crap. It's just the cliff notes of what a policy is. And somebody could go online, print a certificate, PDF it, put whatever information and send it. And, that's very, very risky, especially for these 100 million plus construction jobs, because we don't want to put that risk on the owner or the general contractor. So within our software as well, we are tracking endorsements, making sure that the scheduled operations is correct. All the additional insureds that need to be on there are correct. Completed operations is going to cover everybody who needs to be indemnified. God forbid a claim happens. And if a expiration is coming, our system automatically follows up for expiration dates, gets those renewals. One thing that we've learned and recently changed is that we used to request renewals every 30 days. And most insurance companies, they don't provide a renewal until the day of, the next day, a week later. So following up on those 30-day timelines, we're getting pushed to the back and projects are becoming non-compliant. So we moved that up. We made it 10 days. We're getting responses quickly. And it really just allows for a cohesive understanding of what's going on in the project. This software also will provide reports to the project team owners, risk management of compliance, who's actually compliant to be on site, participation, who's actually being tracked on this project, security reports, and that's just a few very high level, but you can really drill down into the nitty gritty of the specifics on the project and make sure that you have everybody in line where they're supposed to be, and that, God forbid, if a claim arises, everybody is indemnified properly. So I know that was kind of long-winded and a little all over the place, but that's a very high-level overview of Certify.
As a former project manager who, with very little experience, was tasked with collecting a lot of those certificates of insurance without knowing what I was looking at, it was just, we need it before they come on site, and it was like checking boxes, and I knew nothing about insurance. I appreciate everything you just said very much. That sounds like a tailor-made solution to help avoid a lot of that stress.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's such a huge benefit to the insured, right? To basically have that kind of oversight, that insight into what's going on, have it streamlined, keep everyone rowing in the same direction, right? It just makes that so much easier, and it removes a lot of the speed bumps that can hit a project along the way. So with that in mind, I mean, is there something, and Josh, maybe I'll kick it back over to you. Is there something right?
I was going to say purposely trying to fit within the normal course of like operations,
right?
Like knowing that this is not a priority, but
right.
it is super important. Like without it, everything else you're doing here, the 95% that's been great, can all be, the profitability of a project can be wiped away from missing
Absolutely.
that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not.
Sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay. It's not a problem until it's a problem, right? You're just trying to prevent that from ever happening, right? That's risk mitigation. So I was just gonna say, Josh, is there a particular risk right now that's kind of hitting your guys' radar, something that you're seeing insured struggling with, that you think the market needs to be kind of more tuned into and solving that before it gets there?
Yeah, I mean, I think in different markets we're seeing different issues. Like New York is having its complexities now, where wrap ups are not always like available. Like you really need projects to be gigantic. Like I used to
Mm-hmm.
say, maybe 300 million. Now it's probably 500 million to $1 billion for a single site to be done. So
Oh, wow.
now that there's not this coverage available at this higher level, now we're going to more of these owner GC policies, project specific, that are dependent on risk transfer to subcontractors.
Mm-hmm.
So historically, those policies have kind of written based on like the trust factor that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're going to provide this coverage and everyone else below you is going to, like, they're going to satisfy the contractual requirements and have the proper coverage. What's
Mm-hmm.
happening now is it's bubbling up where they're trusting this to happen. It's not happening. Claims are coming through. So now these carriers that are writing owner general contractor policies are at this level are now saying you're required to have some kind of service. So I mean, it's a balloon, right? I mean, it's like
Mm-hmm.
we're squeezing down. Now the claims are going to now go more to the subcontractors, but then you just imagine their rates are going to, like, we're not going to get rid of the lost dollars. Like that
Mm-hmm.
should be the focus, but unfortunately, so like New York's an environmental issue. I think on certain types of projects, I mean, wood frame we're seeing more often. I think it's more of a builder's risk issue. And then certain states like, Florida, like I've heard recently described, like Florida general liability rates are approaching like New York almost. Like there's
Wow.
different concerns or exposures, but like it's not labor law, but it's the concerns down in Florida. And then there's labor shortages. Colorado's a state that I'm hearing. So it's I think construction defect is a concern. And then just overall, I mean, like lots of these mega projects that you're saying, you mentioned as
Mm-hmm.
well. I think just seeing a lot of data centers. And I think the future really is the question is going to be like, we're even building all these projects, or we're having all these green or environmentally friendly projects. We're focused on the batteries, but how is this going to, my question is, and I've heard this from a couple of people, how is this going to impact risk moving forward, right? Like in the past, like we had like wind, hail, and all these other items. Now it's like, what if the battery that's backing up my building catches on fire? Like we have
Mm-hmm.
a whole, I mean, sorry, I'm on another direction, but it's where I go.
No,
I
it's all interconnected though. It's very it's hard. You can't put it all in a vacuum, right? It's all very much intertwined.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those risks, continue to evolve with technology, but also, there's also, Josh, you had mentioned growing opportunities for successful contractors and subcontractors who may be expanding into, say, new geographic regions, or they're growing into a new stratosphere for them as they come into an emerging market. What are some things, Trevor, maybe that contractors should be mindful of when they're looking to make those kind of jumps and some of those new risks, that they're dealing with that may be unanticipated?
Yeah, so just as Josh had said, I mean, the environment in New York is very different than the environment in Florida, and Colorado is different than California. So every state has a different insurance requirements that it requires, and then every jurisdiction within that state is going to have different insurance requirements that they have. So just making sure that you are well versed in the place that you are going away from your home state in the requirements of that state or jurisdiction, that you have all the coverages that are required. New York has some very special nuanced things that are going to be required that, Indiana might not have.
Mm-hmm.
Florida is going to have, think, problems with flood and whatnot, where, in the Georgia mountains, you're not going to have a lot of those issues. So just making sure that you understand the scope of work, the environment that you're working in, and that you have a good broker that is able to write that risk and explain it to you so that you do not have a pitfall if a claim was to arise, if something happened.
Yeah. And then
Yes.
with the wrap up with that, I mean, the benefit is obviously entering the new market, you can kind of alleviate, you don't have to drill down on some of these subcontractors, and everyone can be covered by one policy
Mm-hmm.
potentially. So, and it could broaden and even bring it broadens the subcontractor base for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's the thing. If you're going to look to expand, that's great, but you gotta be smart, and you gotta have the right team around you. So getting a broker that can help alleviate some of those things, and just think proactively about that, right? Kind of get you thinking in the right direction so you just avoid them
No pun
altogether.
intended.
Yeah, well, it
I like
happens more
that.
than you think,
I like
but yeah. Yeah, no. So anyway, guys, this has been a really great conversation. Obviously, we enjoy speaking with you guys about this. We always like to give our audience a few takeaways from the episode. So with that, and I think Trevor, we'll kick them over to you. What would you say the 3 takeaways should be, keeping in mind our audience is mostly risk managers, brokers, carriers, GCs, subs? What should they be taking away from our conversation today?
Definitely, Mike. So 3 of the things that I would say, starting with number 1, is that insurance tracking on a large project or even a small project is extremely, extremely important. The certificate of insurance is a fugazi, if we're really being honest. It doesn't really mean anything. So tracking the endorsements, the policies, tracking the insurance as a whole is going to be the most important thing, I would say, for anybody in the construction space. But second being that software that really works with the end user in mind is going to be key. A lot of software that we see are IT people trying to play in insurance, or insurance people playing in IT, where you really want to have a little bit of a merge of both of those, because you don't want to have a software that's extremely clunky, but you also don't want to have a software that has so many things in it that you're like, where do I even begin? So just making sure that the software solution is really intertwined with, and suited for what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
And then third is going to be education is key. Whether you're leaving your state to go find a new market somewhere, you're diving into the wrap-up space, or you just want to learn a little bit more, before you put both feet in, it's really good to start doing some research and education and talking with people like Josh and I, who have some experience in the space, and learning a little bit more about what to expect rather than just diving in. So I'd say see wise or crap, software is very important, and education is key. There's my 3 takeaways.
I love it. And kudos, be the first person to say Fugazi on the podcast ever. That's there'll be a plaque sent to your office for that one.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and I guess what I take away from all of that, Trevor, it sounds like it's form and function, but the function's paramount. It's got to be useful at the end of the day. Given that, if there was an action item or a first step that our listeners wanted to take, if they're looking to sort of evaluate their own programs, in your mind, what would that be? What do they do first? What's action item number 1?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they're considering a wrap up, I mean, there's one, I guess it's depending on the market, there's job size thresholds. So it's kind of looking at what does your pipeline look like? These programs could be deployed individually, like for a single site, or they could do a rolling program. So looking at kind of what work upcoming you have, the size of it, CR Solutions can work with someone like that and help put together a pro forma. So kind of help estimate what insurance costs, if they're the general contractor, they obviously know what their costs are. That would be removed from the equation, and then help estimate what kind of credits to expect from the subcontractors. And then through that process, you go to the insurance market, and there's multiple reasons to proceed with the wrap up. Sometimes it's a residential project, there's risk management benefits, you're less concerned with the credits, and we can assist with that part of it. But if you're concerned about the financial decision as well, that pro forma document will help you with that assessment. Like, is the sum of the insurance credits, the traditional insurance costs, is it enough to cover the wrap up? And so we can help you through that process. So it would be really just an educational type process. What are your motivations? Talk about the different types of wrap ups, the pros and cons of each. Like, once you start involving the workers' comp, you start having higher deductibles. You start saying words like letters of credit, which a lot of sponsors are just scared away from. So it depends on figuring out motivations, and then really framing, like finding tranches if it's multiple projects, or identifying a project and really going out to markets and seeing kind of do the economics of it work. And then from there, CR Solutions can help in the background. But I'd say to start, Chris, it's a lot, but
figure out your business case really is kind of what that sounds like.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, before we let you guys go, we always like to hit our guests with a couple of rapid fire questions too. And this one may be kind of easy, but Josh, what is it that keeps you up at night professionally when you think about wrap programs in your customer base?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is it's wrap programs, but it's an overall insurance issue. I think it's just lack of talent in our industry. not that the people at our industry are stupid, it's like the lack of number of people in our industry. And like, I really feel, I mean, even at CR Solutions, like we pride ourselves as a great way for people to enter the industry. We do a great job training them. And then we could also be a springboard for someone that wants to continue beyond wrap-up administration. But I think really trying to attract more talent, like we have an aging population right now. And like, I love this industry. And I really think the more younger, smarter people we could bring on, it's going to just continue elevating all of us. So it's beyond wrap-ups. It helps a micro, you know, on that, in that micro analysis, but it's a macro issue, I think, for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. We need to get younger and younger people in insurance as well.
Yeah.
It's,
or
you
more,
know,
or AI and bots, but no, we need the people.
Well, we'll take the jobs for now. We got a lot of undergrads coming out here need new jobs. Josh, Trevor, how about for you? Is there a biggest challenge you have at work right now? And maybe on the flip side of that, what is it that makes you the most excited about the work you're doing right now? You mentioned getting out there and talking to people and really, you know, educating. What's the biggest thing that you appreciate about the work you're doing?
Yeah, so to start, to kind of piggyback on Josh, one of the biggest challenges right now is, you know, Mike, both you and I are relatively young, and we met each other and have a lot of similar thoughts about things. But I feel like the new generation of workers are younger and not wanting to work. So it's trying to figure out like what drives them. Is the work-life balance? Is it work-life integration? You know, and specifically us being in the construction field, or partly in the construction field, as you see, you know, there's like 50 construction workers for every one being replaced. So just like you said, the labor shortage that is upcoming, I think all of that combined is going to be a stressor. But one of the things that really gets me excited is just that every day is different. I don't feel like there are many days that I'm working on the same thing. And if I am, it's usually because we skyrocketed it in a different direction. So it's really a new thing all over again. So I just feel like you're talking big numbers, you're talking big projects, you're talking big innovation. So everything that we do is very large, it's very in charge, and it's just exciting. So just the future is exciting, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving and shaking all the way through. So that's great. So, hey guys, finally, I want to just wrap this up. So,
no pun intended. Well done.
Yeah. Hey,
full of them today, Mike.
I know. But no, guys, this is the Building Byte podcast. That's building insurance technologies with the experts. You guys are today's experts. You know, what are you guys taking a bite out of today? I know, Trevor, you're down in Georgia, and Josh, you're over in Long Island. What's and maybe I'll go Trevor first. What's the number one bite to eat out in Georgia?
Okay, so I'm going to put you on a little bit of like some game here, all right? So you need to go up to Dahlonega, which is in the North Georgia mountains, and there's this little burger joint called Dipper Dan's. It's like in an old strip mall, like nothing in the strip mall. You go, you're like, that place is definitely sketchy. It's like $3 for a hamburger, but it's like the best backwoods hamburger you've ever had, and I'm planning to go there for dinner tonight.
That's excellent. Josh, how about yourself?
My story's not as good as Trevor's or mine, but I mean, I'm a big steak guy. Like, so I think like right now in this, like New York City, I think Long Island, we're getting better and better at the restaurants, but I would say like a Mastro Steakhouse in the city is probably my one. Del Frisco's, I like the scene, but Mastro's is probably the best steak now.
Nice.
Yeah.
We went opposite directions. I went like throw on a t-shirt and flip-flops, and you went
$3 burgers, a big New York City steakhouse. I love it.
Georgia Mountains or New York City.
There you go.
We appreciate both ends of the spectrum too. So we'll I like both of those.
Yeah, we eat both.
Well, Josh, Trevor, thank you guys for joining us today. We appreciate you guys taking the time out of your schedule. If our listeners want to hook up with you after the podcast drops, where can they find you guys? LinkedIn, email? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
We're both on LinkedIn. We'll give you guys, Mike and Chris, our emails that you put in the show notes or whatever, instead of me listing them all off. And we also have a podcast called the Inside Insight Podcast, which is just a spinoff of CR Solutions. And you can also listen to me talk a whole bunch there if you like listening to me talk here. I sing, I get a little weird over there. So if you want to hear what we have to say, come over there, LinkedIn, email. We have an Instagram. So
And soon
I'm
TikTok.
disappointed you didn't bring the singing energy to our podcast.
well, I'm trying to keep this a little bit more professional.
There you go.
Next time we'll pencil it in.
Love it.
And we are going to have Mike and Chris on Inside as well, right, Trevor? Okay.
We are. Yes. And
Great.
You guys can hear my beautiful singing over there next time.
Yeah. And,
We'll
and
hold
thank
you
you guys
to it.
so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Excited to be
Absolutely.
working with you all.
Yeah, thank you guys again.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Building Bite. This podcast has been brought to you by Proactive. Check us out on thebuildingbite.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on social media for all future The Building Bite news and updates. You can also find us on your favorite apps, including Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Amazon. If you have ideas for episode topics that we should cover on the show, or you know somebody who would be a perfect guest, let us know at connect@thebuildingbite.com.